Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Cos's Corner video. I'm Jerry Cosby, and those who have subjected themselves to previous Cos Corner video know that I go around and talk to various people of interest, and hopefully they're people that you want to know something about. And today we have with us in her own backyard Miss Linda Burrello, who is the Parks Director of Garfield Park. Garfield, for those not in the area, is located south of Raymond Street, north of Southern Avenue, east of Madison, and west of Shelby Street. It's a historic park. Linda, welcome to Cos's Corner.
Thank you, Jerry.
Rumor has it that after a couple of weeks at the Parks Department, you're going to retire come October.
Yes, Jerry. It's been 50 years since I worked for the Park Department, and the last 46 years I've spent here in Garfield Park.
Did you play here as a youngster?
Yes. In fact, I took my first swimming lessons when I was 3 years old.
Really?
So that's when I first, well, I take that back, Jerry. My mother used to walk in the sunken gardens when she was pregnant with me.
I see.
So I always tell people, in fact, I was in the park before I was born. So.
That's good. And of course, I can say I knew your dad, Tony, very well, and God rest his soul. He just was just an incredibly good man. He was a good man.
Jerry, my dad thought a lot of you, Jerry.
Well, we played euchre against and with each other. I mean, you can do that both ways, you know.
That's true. That's true. He
Anyway.
hated to lose, though.
Oh, no, me too. I couldn't understand that. Talk a little about Garfield Park. We're sitting in the Burrello Aquatic Center, or Burrello, what's the official name?
Family Center.
Burrello Family Center, and I think it's extraordinary that they have a facility that is named after a living person, and that, for me, is a great honor as far as you're concerned, because normally the people are deceased and then somebody says, well, so-and-so did such a good job, we ought to name a building. And here you are in your own building.
Yes, Jerry, it was really an honor. In fact, I didn't know that the community had gotten together and they did a, what do you call it, a
Survey,
petition.
Oh, really?
And of course, the Park Department's been my whole life. I love to work with the community and the children, and so when the center was built, of course we had the dedication, and that's when, at the time, Mayor Goldsmith, when he announced that the center would open, that they were going to name it after me, which I couldn't believe. And
you didn't know that until the dedication?
No, I did not know that.
Wow,
So
it's incredible.
It was, but I have a lot of people to thank. I mean, people I've worked with in the department, a good community. It's just been a dream come true. I mean, I just can't thank the community enough for their support and their commitment to feel like they should, or that they wanted to name it after me.
Well, that's a two-way street. They don't do those things without just cause, and you have just been so dedicated. You mentioned swimming pool. This family center has what's called an aquatic center, is that correct?
Correct, uh-huh.
And it replaced what now is an art center, the old pool on the hill that many kids around, adults remember as kids going there.
Yes, they built the pool in 1996, and then 2 years later they added the family center. And the family center was finished in 1998.
Okay.
And then they really weren't sure what they were going to do with the old family center. And I was thinking, well, it'd be great, to maybe have an art center. And then we'd have the aquatic center, the family center, the gymnasium, weight room, and then we could go on up to the art center and have art classes and different art programs up there. And then the conservatory. I don't know, a lot of people don't realize what it is, but the conservatory is just beautiful. And so I tell people you can come to Garfield Park and spend the whole day for practically nothing. I mean, we have it all here. We have our softball diamonds, tennis courts, shelters to rent, and it's a park. It's the oldest park in the city, Jerry. The oldest park in the city and the third largest.
Don't fail to mention McAllister.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, yes. P.E. McAllister.
Talk a little about that.
It's a McAllister Center where we have concerts, and we're planning on having movies in the park this summer. We've had some really, Dolly Parton was here in 1967. We've had some really, Jimmy Carter. We've had some really well-known people that's performed at the McAllister
It's an
Center.
open air stage, and it has seating, and then there's a hill that rises behind, and as many people bring their lawn chairs and blankets and sit on the hill and watch. And by and large, the programs are free.
Most of them are free.
Right.
We've had concerts where we've charged, but most of the time they're free.
How about Shakespeare in the Park? Are they not coming
No,
back with that?
They were here last year, and they'll be back this year. They'll be in September sometime.
But that's paid performance. Shakespeare in the Park.
No, it's
Not?
free.
Oh, okay. Well, let's talk a little more about this family center. Kind of describe what the aquatic part is, because it's pretty unique. It isn't just a regular pool you get in and do laps.
The aquatic center is more like a family pool. We have the water's only 4 feet deep, and then we have what we call zero depth, which is for little kids. And so we also have, of course, the swim team. We always have a really good swim team, which the Friends of Garfield Park supports our swim team, and they help out with children that cannot afford it. So the aquatic center, we do swim lessons. We have, of course, the slides are popular. The older children like to go down the slides, and so it's basically a family facility.
I think it's a hoot to see those kids try and step on the spouts of water.
Yes. And of course, they love the frog slide. The frog slide's pretty neat.
This is true. Okay, talk about the fitness center, which is behind us. Talk a little about that.
The fitness center, you'd be surprised, we really get more ladies that come in that want to use the machines, and we have treadmills, bicycles, machines
Stair
for your
steps.
legs, and
Sure.
and we have the small weights. We don't have the larger weights, and I think that's maybe why we don't get more men to come in, but it's usually always busy. You can come in $3 daily visits. We have a month pass, which is only $10.
Do you have a person that sort of, as a conditioner, tells you what you should do?
I can work with this with Amy Norcross. She does our aerobics lessons, and if somebody will tell me they would like, before they get on them, they'd like to have some help, I can arrange for Amy to come in and help
Oh, that's
them.
good. That's good. And again, it's very inexpensive. And I also noticed in my visit there are mirrors on two walls, and I don't know, is that meant to shame the person that wants to reduce their size? They look, oh man, I got to work harder. Is that me?
You know, I don't really know why they're up there, Jerry, but that's probably a good point.
Yeah, it sure is. And then, of course, you have a beautiful gymnasium. Talk a little about what goes on there, really year-round.
Okay, the gymnasium is my pride and joy. Up in the old family center, which is now the art center, we had a tile floor, and my dad and my uncle came in one weekend and laid the tile, it was cement, and laid the tile for a basketball floor. And so I've always said, though, I'd love to have a facility, a gymnasium that had a wooden floor like IU. So we finally got it, and we have a lot of youth programs. We have probably one of the best junior basketball programs in the city, and of course I go as far as in the state.
Sure, why not?
We have close to 300 children in the winter, and then we have around 175 during the spring summer leagues. And we've had, like, Katie Gerald's played basketball here when she was little, Gordon Hayworth when he was little.
Really?
So we've had some pretty good
I should say so.
people come through, and we have pickleball. These is for the older people. It's
I was going to say, are there adult hours that, is there an adult league, or are there pickup games a guy can walk in and play?
yes, we have open gym, and open gym for adults is usually in the afternoons, and we try to keep the later hours for the children.
I am sure all of these, we should mention to the people, all of these activities are listed on a website. Now, give us an address.
Okay, the address is www.indy.gov.
Indy Parks or Indy?
Just Indy.
Really? www.indy.gov. Okay.
And then you'll go to Indy Parks.
Oh, okay. And then in Indy Parks, there'll be Garfield and Eagle and,
Yes.
and all of those things. Okay, well, now we've got through the bricks and mortars. Let's talk a little bit about Linda Burrello. Linda is a native of Indianapolis. You take it from there.
Yes, I was born here in Indianapolis, and I guess I'll just start off with when I was 10 years old. I guess I start over. When I was 3 years old, I started taking swimming lessons at Garfield Park, and then the playground program. I was on their city softball team, and I spent every day in Garfield Park when I was growing up. And then in 1963, I got a job with Indy Parks, and I started out at Willard Park, which I was a playground director at the time. And I'll never forget the end of the summer, and the playground program was ending. The superintendent of recreation at the time came by to see me and wanted to know if I'd be interested in a full-time job with Indy Parks. And I said, well, sure. Of course, my parents always wanted me to try and get a job at Lily's.
Oh, yes.
But then he started talking to me about the full-time job and the recreation centers, and he said that you've worked so well with the children here this summer. He said, I'd like to give you a chance, Linda. And I said, well, I'd love to. And so the next day I was leaving to go to Florida to play in a ASA national softball tournament. And so I got back and I hadn't heard anything, and I thought, well, maybe I'm not going to get the job. And that evening, Mr. Hardwick, I'll never forget it, he called me. He says, well, Linda, he said, I need you to come in for an interview. And so I did, and anyway, I did get a full-time job, and I started out at Northeast Community Center, which is now Washington Park Community Center. And started full-time, and then it was like 4 years after that. Well, then I went to Municipal Gardens for a year. And then from there, I had, at the time, a director of parks wanted to know if I could come down to Garfield and come up with some programs down at Garfield. And I said, well, I'll try it, Mr.
That's
Strong.
old homecoming, though. You'd probably jump at that.
So in 1967, I came down to the old family center, and which is now, of course, the Art Center. And I started out with, of course, junior basketball teams, and then I had some dance recitals. I had some tap dance lessons, and I don't know if you remember Sandy Schultz.
Oh, sure, sure.
She was my instructor for
really?
dance programs.
Lived right across the street.
Yes, and then she ended up doing some cheerleading lessons for me, and I've been at Garfield ever since. So
well, that's an amazing history, and you still have enthusiasm, and that's really important, because sometimes we get in a rut of things we do and it becomes humdrum. But and I've seen you operate. You're all business, but you also have empathy for kids, and you know how to finesse them and get them pretty much to come around.
One thing I cannot stand is to have a program and not have it organized. Everything's got to be organized. Things have to start on time, and I probably learned that from my manager on my softball team, Maxine Thayer. She taught me a lot about if you're going to do something, you do it right or you don't do it.
Right. How many, have you ever totaled up the number of parks directors you've worked under?
Yes, I was thinking about that the other day, and I know there's been probably 8 mayors, and then probably 16 maybe directors.
I'm sure. I lost track of what I was going to ask you. It'll come to me in a moment. Give us maybe a couple, two or three, what I would call really highlights. Perhaps the kid that had a problem with that turned out to be a Mensa member, those kind of things. Not necessarily personalities, but just great experiences.
Oh, Jerry, I've had so many. In fact, a lot of my time I spend where children want to come in and just talk to me because they're afraid to either go to their parents or they don't feel comfortable to talk to maybe somebody at school. And they'll always come in and say, Linda, you got a few minutes, you can talk to me. And those are the moments I think I really love, because I feel like I have children now that come back in here that are grandparents. And
that doesn't make you feel old or anything, does it?
No. But I think a lot that I get a lot of pride out of just being able to talk and listen to these children and make an impact in their lives.
You know, I've done some coaching over the years, CYO and junior baseball at Southport. And one of the greatest pleasures, aside from doing that, is to see these kids later, 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. And they're successful and they're doing this, and they come back and they remember who you are. And that's the biggest compliment. They don't realize it, but that's the biggest compliment, just being who they are. And to think that at one time this young person was, you knew that young person, and perhaps you implanted a little seed there that...
That's true, Jerry. And then, like, I have several of the children that grew up in our programs that they come and want to know if there's a summer job for them. And I've hired so many to be my lifeguards, cashiers, and even to help in the family center as facility attendants. And that's really neat, too.
Well, the other thing you're to be commended for, on all Parks personnel, Parks is always, as far as I've been, as long as I've been around, has been in financial stress. There's never enough money to go around. And the way you guys manipulate and finesse and get things done with a limited budget is pretty incredible.
And I think the Friends of Garfield Park, they help a lot with our children that can't afford our programs, sure. And that's meant a lot.
There's a pagoda on the south side, southeast part of this park, that's quite a historic monument. Could you talk a little bit about that and tell us what's going on there now?
The pagoda, of course, I can remember when I was little, they used to have bands that would play up there, and I can remember the orange sodas that they'd sell. And they would have a lot of dances up there, and of course a lot of the bands, and it was a place you could also rent and have your family reunions. And lately they've been using the facility for weddings. We've had some really nice weddings, and of course there's a staircase that goes up to the top. We've kind of had to block that off because kids would get up there and get out on the roof, and it's been here for, gosh, 35 years.
Oh yeah, it's very historic. Speaking of roof, I apologize for some of the background noise. They are re-roofing this building as we speak.
Yes.
And I don't know where you got the money for that, but good job. But anyhow, I apologize for those momentary things. The sunken gardens are nationally known, and they have gone through good, bad, good times, bad times. Talk a little about the sunken gardens and how they started and all the support over the years.
Well, like I said, in 1916 was the first dedication that my grandmother was there. And the sunken gardens used to have a lot of different plantings, which was like a German garden or European and rose garden. And of course, then through the years, they had to have a lot of repairs, and the fountains. We have fountains, and so it's hard to keep up the gardens because the fountains is really an expense. And right now, they're actually being replaced, and we should have them working, I would say, hopefully July, and we'll have the fountains back, which they change lights, and
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
it's just unbelievable. And we've started having music in the gardens. And I know the Friends is going to be kicking off their fundraising campaign to help take care of the fountains. It's hard for the city because we have to go out for bid, and sometimes we get different contractors that's not used to, you know, what all needs to be done down in the fountains. And of course, they're going to be computerized this time around, and we're hoping the Friends can raise enough money to actually help take care of the maintenance.
Well, there again, we're talking about the Friends of Garfield Park, who also have a website, and I'm certain if you go there, you will find a way to support that. That area between the garden and the conservatory, it's sort of a plaza in there. I recall on late afternoon, my wife and I were in the park, and there was a wedding going on, and what a more, there could not be a more beautiful, peaceful setting than that whole extravaganza area, and it was just gorgeous.
Yes.
Just gorgeous.
And now that we have the art center, it's really a nice place to come for a wedding, and then you can go into the art center and have your reception, and it's going to be really nice.
Well, that's good. I can remember we lived nearby the park early on. We had kids, and a big treat was to go to the Garfield Park and watch the fountains and the different lights, and they'd say, "Oh, look, it's blue, it's red, it's red." Yeah. It just blew their mind that there must be somebody down there pulling a switch or something. But my kids played in the park, played on the swings, and so my kids have been a part of this, coming to this park as well. Well, we've just about exhausted our time, Melinda Burrello, and I can't tell you how proud I am of you and your career and your service to not only Garfield Park, but the city of Indianapolis, and all those young people that you have impacted over the years. There's no way to measure the good things. So I just wish you well. Come October 1, when you're an ex-member, let me know, and we'll go out and play a little golf. You can teach me golf like you taught me basketball.
That'd be great. Yeah. That'd be fun.
Well, we're blessed. We've had the privilege of talking to Linda Burrello, who will be retiring October 1st. And that pretty well takes care of this edition of Kaz's Corner Video. I thank you very much for watching. This is Jerry Cosby, and please come visit us again. Thank you. Bye-bye for now.